Hello friends, today I'm going to dive into the topic, are short-term rentals allowed in Myrtle Beach? So are short-term rentals allowed in Myrtle Beach? Well, by the end of this video, you're going to have a comprehensive understanding of whether short-term rentals are allowed in Myrtle Beach, but also how to avoid the pitfalls and set yourself up for success if you're wanting to own a short-term rental in Myrtle Beach. Have you ever thought about how awesome it would be to own a beach property right next to the ocean? And you've thought maybe Myrtle Beach could be that place, but you're curious about the rules and regulations and how to navigate those? Well, stick around because we're going to explore everything when it comes to rules and regulations associated with owning and operating short-term rentals in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I want to do this by first diving into why Myrtle Beach is a hot spot for owning and operating short-term rentals. Next, I will cover all the legal overviews and regulations associated with owning and operating short-term rentals in Myrtle Beach. And finally, I want to give you the hot spots on where to own these short-term rentals in Myrtle Beach and what type of short-term rentals are going to give you the best return and biggest bang for your buck. If you're ready, let's go. So why is Myrtle Beach considered such a hot spot for short-term rentals? So I remember the first time I visited Myrtle Beach, it was back in 1997, a long time ago. And I remember just going through the town and thinking, this has such a cool vibe to it. The cool thing about Myrtle Beach though, is it has been a destination for a long time. It isn't just a new cool spot that's popped up recently. It has attracted visitors as a tourist destination for over 20, 30, 40 years. And one of the things that I really look at when I want to buy a short-term rental, I look at areas that can support the tourism numbers that are there. So if I'm looking at a place, I'm going to Google and say, what are the annual visitors that attend Myrtle Beach? And if those numbers are high, then I'm definitely looking in that area. And one of the other neat things about Myrtle Beach is if you're looking at a beach property and you're looking all throughout the United States, Myrtle Beach has some of the cheapest opportunities to own a short-term rental. Now, obviously those that are right on the beach are going to be more expensive, but if you look at communities in general and you go to Florida, some of those destination areas, or Hawaii or California, number one, it's usually really strict when it comes to short-term regulations or very expensive to where the numbers don't pencil. Myrtle Beach is different where you can actually make the numbers pencil if you find the right property and you get a good deal. And when I say Myrtle Beach, I'm talking everything from Murrells Inlet down south all the way up north to North Myrtle Beach. Another thing that attracts visitors to Myrtle Beach is it has over 86 different golf courses. Now, that's quite a bit. If you're a golfer, you could spend days, weeks, months golfing the golf courses there in Myrtle Beach, but it definitely attracts people that want to go golf. It also has your traditional southern hospitality. It has warm climates and over 60 miles of beachfront from Murrells Inlet all the way up north to North Myrtle Beach and beyond those areas. And just as I pulled up the numbers, Myrtle Beach attracts 20 million visitors a year. I would say that's pretty sufficient numbers to justify owning a short-term rental there. So about 2 years ago, I was looking to add to our portfolio of vacation rental properties, and I started looking at Myrtle Beach. And I will tell you, the numbers really started to play out. But as we were getting to the end of our inspection period, where we had to pull the trigger after 14 days, interest rates were continuing to go up, and it just didn't make sense. We would make money, but not enough money to handle things that might be out of our control that we'd have to replace something. So we decided not to pull the trigger on it, but I remember thinking the numbers definitely work in this city. Now, as we talk about regulations with short-term rentals in Myrtle Beach, as with everything else, it all applies and comes down to the zoning laws. Now, if you're looking to buy something in Myrtle Beach, I promise you, I've talked to some really good realtors there, and all of them understand and know the rules and regulations. So getting a good realtor to purchase a property is one of the most important things you can do when it comes to buying short-term rentals in areas that allow short-term rentals. There's also a business license you need to obtain and a fee associated with that. And another cool thing about South Carolina in general is they leave a lot of these rules and regulations to the local government. One exception that I found in South Carolina is that you have to obtain a retail license from the South Carolina Department of Revenue. This license is required to collect and remit all the sales tax and state taxes associated with owning a short-term rental. And if you don't get this license, you're going to be subject to the fines and penalties that come along with not having that license in place. And as with most areas that allow vacation rentals or short-term rentals, you've got to abide by the local laws and noise regulations to allow the local residents to reside in places where they want to live. So the noise ordinances and parties, they're regulated almost everywhere, and Myrtle Beach is no different. So when it comes to Myrtle Beach, where are the hot spots and where should you be looking? As I mentioned with Myrtle Beach, obviously the closer you get to the beach, the higher occupancy rate that you're going to have and the higher you can charge. But making those pencil, right? People who have owned short-term rentals in Myrtle Beach understand the value they have if they have a property close to the beach, and they're usually asking top dollar. But I've also talked to realtors who've had really good success with short-term rentals that are what they call second tier or third tier from the beach, right? So not on the road right there on the beach, but maybe that next road back or the third road back or fourth road back. As long as you're within walking distance of the beach, those can usually see really good results as short-term rentals. Now, another important thing when it comes to short-term rentals in Myrtle Beach, there's an argument, or maybe people have a preference on what they buy, but you can buy everything from a studio apartment to a condo to a townhome to a home. And me personally, I've looked at properties for sale in some of those big developments, some of those big resorts, and they feel like a hotel room. And I don't want to buy a hotel room. Anything that says 0 bedrooms and maybe 1 bathroom, I'm really not interested in that, because essentially what you're buying is a hotel room. Now, some people might be fine with that. If you were to tell somebody, listen, you can make $40,000 a year by owning a hotel room, maybe somebody would say, well, I want to own 4, 5, 10 of those. But for me, I just don't feel like it's going to attract a lot of people, especially when what you're offering is the exact same thing that a hotel can offer. And the hotel might offer a swimming pool or free breakfast. And I'm not saying some of those resorts don't. They actually have some really cool things available to people who stay there. But for me personally, I like the feel of having a condo or something with a few more rooms that allow the guests to spread out a little bit and not feel like they're jam-packed in a hotel room. Matter of fact, as I was mentioning to you, when I was looking at a property there about 2 years ago, it was a condo right on the golf course. And as I mentioned, golfers love to go to Myrtle Beach because of the options to golf so many different courses. And so this condo performed very well. Matter of fact, they were selling it for about $200,000. I think we had put an offer on for $189,000, and I think we settled somewhere around $192,000. But the revenue that came in every single year from this condo that was already a short-term rental was about $42,000 a year. And if you look at my general rule of thumb, if you have gross rents that are at least 10% of the purchase price, that's a good deal. If it's 20%, that's typically a do not pass up deal. So that's why we were making the offer on this property. And we even thought that rents could be raised a little bit. But once again, with interest rates rising and the insurance of the market, we didn't end up pulling the trigger on that. But Myrtle Beach is still an area that I'm constantly looking at. Another thing to note when it comes to short-term rentals in Myrtle Beach is the description of the property. There's a huge difference between an Oceanside condo and an Oceanview condo. The Oceanview might be when you step out on the patio and you look around the corner, you might see the ocean, whereas an Oceanside, obviously you're right there on the ocean. There's going to be a big difference in price and occupancy rates and the amount you can charge with those type of condos, whether it's an Oceanside or an Oceanview. And I touched on this briefly, but HOA fees are an important thing to consider. You have some HOA fees that charge $600 to $800 a month. Now you might say, holy crap, that is way too much money. What do you do? But it includes maybe a lot of the utilities, the internet, access to the pool, access to game rooms, to weight rooms, access to physical facilities where you can work out. So sometimes those are well worth it because you're going to be paying those anyway if you pay all your utilities when it's encompassed in an HOA. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but make sure you do your due diligence on those HOA fees. So finally, let's really quick look at what AirDNA says about the different areas. Myrtle Beach itself, annual revenue, $40,000. Occupancy rate, 55%. Average nightly rate, $245 a night with an overall score of 29. That's really not very good. And people would say, why are you looking at Myrtle Beach when the score is 29%? Once again, for me, it comes down to numbers. And in Myrtle Beach itself, I might not be looking at a place, but some of the other areas, let's review those really quick. So Murrells Inlet, right? That's a little bit south of Myrtle Beach. Annual income, $55,000. Occupancy rate is 56%, and the average nightly rate is $339 with an overall score of 55. Once again, not very great, but once again, I'm looking at numbers on specific properties, and with 20 million visitors, I know people are going to go there and want to stay at vacation rentals. Finally, North Myrtle Beach. Annual revenue, $59,000. Occupancy rate, 60%. Average nightly rate, $340. Overall score, 71. Now that's a lot better than the other two, and definitely an area to be looking at. If you're looking for short-term rentals, I would recommend definitely North Myrtle Beach. And even though some of those scores are low, and Myrtle Beach is definitely higher, but it's not like Las Vegas or maybe Hawaii or Savannah, Georgia that have really high scores, it's definitely an area that you can still look at because ultimately it comes down to the numbers. I'm a big fan of Myrtle Beach, but I'd be interested in your feedback. If you own a short-term rental in Myrtle Beach, please let me know. Let me know your experience, good or bad, and let's engage in a dialogue. And as always, I've got a free gift for you. It's a short-term rental calculator. You put in all the income, the expenses, and it spits out to you whether it's a good deal or not. And it's 100% free, no strings attached. Just click on the link below, aaronsfreetraining.com. Once again, thanks for stopping by. Have an amazing day.